Hi, grade 3-4. We're back for another fun edition of Math with Miss Boyd. Today, we're going to be learning about bar graphs. These are a really important type of graph that we use a lot in statistics. Last week, you were learning about pictographs and collecting data and forming a pictograph from it. This week, you're going to learn how to collect data and create a bar graph from it. So what I did is I already collected some data today, and it was colors of shirts that I own. And it was interesting because I noticed some patterns of colors I obviously really like and colors I don't wear as much of. So I've got the title for my shirts, so shirt color, and then amount of shirts. So striped shirts, I had 8. I do have a lot of those. Red shirts, I had 2. Blue shirts, I had 10. Yellow shirts, I had 5. And brown shirts, I had 7. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert this into a bar graph. Now I'm going to show you the important elements of a bar graph before we even make it. So a bar graph will look a lot like this when it's empty. And I had to draw my lines, but luckily the sheets I've sent you have lines already on them. So I'm going to first put a title because people need to know what my bar graph is about. And guess what? I can use the exact same title I used for my T-chart. So I'm going to write colors of shirts I own. Colors of shirts I own. So that's the title of my bar graph. Now, believe it or not, there's 2 other areas that are going to need labels. Just like on your pictograph, which look very similar to your T-chart, you're going to have to label the X and Y axis. So this is the X axis right here along the bottom. It's known as the X axis, and this is where we're going to write our shirt colors. This is the Y axis. It goes up. This is where we're going to label the amount of shirts. So I'm going to show you how to label it. So here below where there's some space, I'm going to write shirt color. Shirt colors. And then along the side, I'm going to write amount of shirts. Now, just like you did with the pictograph, you chose a key. And the key represented a number. So for example, you might have said your key equaled 2 and your picture, maybe whatever your picture was, represented 2 votes or whatever you chose to do. We do the same thing with a bar graph, except for it's called a scale. And I don't mean scales like on a lizard. I mean a scale as in how much it's going to go up by. So I could have it go up by 1 from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because I don't have a whole lot. But because I have data, sometimes I'll have data that has a lot more. It's good to get in the practice of going up by more than 1. So today my scale is going to be 2, okay? So I'm going to be going up by 2, and it's easy to do, and I'll show you how. You're going to notice that I've put a 0 here. 0 is always in the bottom left corner of your graph. You always start at 0. You don't start your numbers down here. I wouldn't start 2 here because there's nothing here. See, if I color it, there's nothing. So then I make sure my numbers are on the lines. They're not on the bars. If they're on the bars, you're not going to get a correct bar graph. So I'm going to put my numbers on the line. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the colors of shirts. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. Now when I make a bar graph, I like to leave space in between each one just in case. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So I'm not going to be able to leave a whole lot of space between each one this time just because my bar graph is little, but normally I like to leave a bar in between each. But I'm going to start it with my striped. So I would label, turn it on the side here. I would label striped And then I had red, and you can use different colors if you want. It certainly makes the bar graph look a lot nicer. So see how I'm labeling it in the middle of the bar? Red. And then I had blue. And then I had yellow. Hopefully my yellow shows up. That's not bad. And then I had brown. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how many I have for each and skip count. So I had 8 striped shirts. That's easy enough to color in, and I'm just gonna use my pencil for this one. So I find where 8 is, I draw a line, just like this, and then I color that in all the way up to 8. So that means I had 8 striped shirts. For red, I had 2. So I find where the 2 is on my bar graph. There's 2 on the line. Make my little line, and then I color it in up to the line. I had 2 red shirts. For blue, I had 10. So I find the 10, and I could have gone up higher in my scale. I could have gone up to 20 if I wanted to, but I'm just going up to 10 right now because 10 was the highest number. So I had 10 blue shirts. Now look, I'm not making my line here. I'm not making it here. I'm making it where blue is. So I make my line across, and then I color that in. My coloring is a little messy, and I apologize for that. Oops. Even though the side of the line's a little, Miss Boyd, you should know better. So there's blue. For yellow, I had 5, which is an uneven number, and as you notice, I'm going up by 2s. So what would I do? I have to think a little bit. So if I have 5, I know that's between 6 and 4. So what I would do is I would draw my line in between 4 and 6, which would represent 5. So I bring my line across. I know 6 is right here and 4 is right here. So 5 would be in the middle. I draw my line nice and neat, and I color it in. And for brown, I had 7, which is again another uneven number. So what I'm going to do is I find the number that 7 is in between, which is 8 and 6. Going up by 2 is probably one of the easier ones to do. So I know that in the middle of 6 and 8 is 7. So I come across, I know that this one is 8, this one is 6. So I'm going to draw my line at where 7 should be in the middle. And then I color it in. So now I have a completed bar graph showing the colors of shirts I own. Now, the easy thing to remember when you're labeling it is it's the exact same labels as you've used in your T-chart. So my shirt color goes on my x-axis, the bottom. My amount of shirts goes on my y-axis. I make a scale going up by more than 1. So here I went up by 2. So I start at 0. 0 is in the bottom corner. I write my numbers on the lines as I go up. And then I start shading in where they fall. I can even answer questions. So I could answer a question, how many more blue shirts did I have than red shirts? So if I look at my graph, I had 2 red shirts and I had 10 blue shirts. So that would mean I had 8 more blue shirts than I had red shirts. What was my most popular shirt color? Blue. What was my least popular shirt color? Red. So this is how you do a bar graph. You're going to be making your own bar graph. You can choose your own information that you would like to use. Maybe you want to call people and ask favorite things again, or maybe you want to see which stuffed animals you have the most of. Anything, it's your choice. And then I also have a sheet of some information I've already found for you to make a bar graph about as well. So these are bar graphs. Don't forget the labels, they're very important. And don't forget to start your counting, your numbering, right at that corner. 0 starts in the corner and the numbers are on the lines. That's very important to remember, okay, grade 3-4? Good luck, and I'm excited to see your bar graphs.